In the world of TV and film, some of the most unforgettable characters are defined not by their height, but by the sheer force of their spirit, determination, and resolve. These pint-sized powerhouses often steal the spotlight, captivating audiences with their larger-than-life personalities and unwavering courage. Their stories remind us that greatness comes in all shapes and sizes, and that true influence is measured by character, not by inches. Think of Gimli from The Lord of the Rings, short in stature but a giant in courage and loyalty. Despite being surrounded by towering elves and men, Gimli's bravery and humor make him a beloved hero. He proves time and again that heart and determination can outshine physical size, earning the respect of his companions and fans alike. Or consider Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, who wielded wit, intellect, and a sharp tongue to survive and thrive in a world that constantly underestimated him. Tyrion's journey is a testament to the power of intelligence and resilience, showing that those who are overlooked can often become the most influential voices in the room. These characters resonate deeply because they face and overcome prejudice, breaking through barriers and challenging the expectations placed upon them. Their stories inspire us to look beyond appearances and recognize the strength that lies within. Their journeys remind us that true strength comes from within, not from physical size. It's their inner resolve, their ability to persevere in the face of adversity, that makes them truly powerful. These characters teach us that confidence and self-belief can move mountains, no matter how tall you stand. They're the underdogs who rise to the occasion, casting a long shadow despite their height. Their victories feel even sweeter because they defy the odds, showing us that anyone can be a leader, a champion, or a hero. This dynamic between stature and power fascinates us, often fueling the idea that shorter individuals compensate with greater ambition, assertiveness, or drive. It's a theme that recurs in stories and in real life, sparking debates about the relationship between physical appearance and personality. In the real world, this idea is often called the Napoleon complex or short man syndrome, a belief that shorter people are more likely to display bold or aggressive behavior to make up for their height. But where did this notion come from, and does it hold any truth? Is there any real evidence behind this trope? Or is it just another stereotype that pop culture has helped to perpetuate? As we explore the origins and reality of the so-called Napoleon complex, we'll uncover whether it's fact, fiction, or something in between. The Napoleon complex describes the idea that some shorter men act aggressively to compensate for their height. Coined by Alfred Adler in 1926, it's rooted in his broader theory of the inferiority complex, where feelings of inadequacy drive people to overcompensate. Adler suggested that being constantly reminded of one's smaller stature could spark a subconscious drive to compete harder in other areas. Over time, the Napoleon complex became a cultural shorthand for anyone acting with excessive bravado regardless of height. But is it a real psychological phenomenon or just a convenient label? The debate continues, with some seeing it as a genuine response to societal bias, and others dismissing it as an unfair stereotype. So where did this idea really come from? Ironically, the Napoleon complex is based on a myth. Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't actually short for his time. At about 5'6", he was average height for a Frenchman in the early 1800s. The image of a tiny, angry Napoleon was British propaganda, amplified by his tall imperial guard and satirical cartoons. The little corporal was a term of endearment, not a jab at his height. The myth stuck because it fit a simple narrative, that his ambition was compensation for his size. In reality, Napoleon's legacy was shaped by strategy and charisma, not insecurity. This teaches us to question the origins of stereotypes and to recognize how easily history can be rewritten. For years, the Napoleon complex was more anecdote than science, until a 2024 study from Australian Catholic University reignited the debate. Researchers surveyed over 300 adults, measuring height, self-perception, and competitiveness. They found that shorter men scored higher on envy, jealousy, and rivalry with other men. This supports the idea that perceived disadvantage in height can fuel a drive to compete in other areas. The study moves the conversation from stereotype to data, suggesting a real psychological pattern may exist. It's not just about movie characters or historical figures. There's measurable evidence of a link between height and competitive behavior. But the study also revealed something even more intriguing. It's not just actual height that matters, it's how you about your height. The 2024 study found that dissatisfaction with one's height, regardless of being tall, short, or average, was a stronger predictor of competitiveness than height itself. This suggests the so-called Napoleon complex is really about body image and self-perception. Anyone who feels not tall enough can experience heightened rivalry and jealousy, not just short men. The real driver is the gap between how we see ourselves and how we wish to be seen. This insight reframes the conversation. It's less about inches, more about mindset. Addressing body image and self-acceptance could reduce unnecessary competition and improve relationships. The battle isn't physical, it's psychological. Promoting positive self-image may be the key to healthier social dynamics. Despite new findings, the scientific community remains divided on short man syndrome. Some studies, like one from the Netherlands, found shorter men more prone to jealousy in relationships. Yet, a 2007 UK study found taller men were actually quicker to anger when provoked. These contradictions highlight the complexity of human behavior. No single trait, like height, can predict temperament. Factors like upbringing, culture, and personality all play a role. The truth likely lies somewhere in the middle. Height may influence behavior for some, but it's far from the whole story. The ongoing debate shows just how difficult it is to untangle the roots of our actions. So how does this play out in the real world? Height dynamics aren't limited to personal relationships. They show up in professional settings too. Whether in the boardroom or on the sports field, the way we perceive and respond to height can subtly shape our interactions and decisions. It's a factor that often goes unnoticed, yet it can have a profound impact on outcomes, especially in high-pressure environments. A 2025 German study analyzed over 2,300 Bundesliga football matches, revealing that referees were more likely to penalize players taller than themselves. The research team meticulously reviewed match footage and referee reports, searching for patterns in decision-making that might be influenced by physical stature. The findings were striking. Taller players faced a higher risk of fouls and yellow cards, while shorter players were penalized less. This pattern persisted even after accounting for factors like player position, aggression, and previous infractions. This suggests referees may subconsciously assert authority over those who physically tower above them. The act of making a call against a taller player could be a way for referees to re-establish their dominance and maintain control of the game. The bias wasn't conscious, but it shaped split-second decisions on the field. In the heat of the moment, when referees must act quickly, these subtle psychological influences can tip the scales. Here, it's the authority figure, not the underdog, who may be compensating for a perceived physical disadvantage. This flips the usual narrative, showing that even those in power can be affected by insecurities related to height. This real-world example shows how height can influence behavior and judgment even among those in power. It's a reminder that our instincts and biases can shape our actions in ways we might never realize. The psychological effects of stature ripple through all kinds of social interactions. From the workplace to the playing field, height can affect confidence, assertiveness, and even the way we interpret others' intentions. It's not just about how we see ourselves, but how we treat others. Recognizing these subtle influences is the first step toward fairer, more self-aware interactions, both on and off the field. The Napoleon complex is just one facet of a broader issue: how height shapes social hierarchies and influences our perceptions of power, confidence, and worth. While the term often brings to mind images of short men overcompensating, the reality is that height plays a subtle but significant role in almost every social interaction we have. Society often equates tallness with leadership, competence, and desirability. From the boardroom to the playground, taller individuals are frequently assumed to be more capable, more assertive, and even more trustworthy, regardless of their actual skills or intentions. Studies show taller people earn more and are seen as more authoritative, even when equally qualified. This height premium can influence hiring decisions, promotions, and even the way colleagues interact with one another, subtly reinforcing existing power structures. Height bias extends to dating, where taller men are often rated as more attractive and dominant. Many dating apps even allow users to filter potential matches by height, reinforcing the idea that stature is a key factor in desirability and romantic success. These preferences may have evolutionary roots, but they persist in modern life, affecting self-esteem and mental health. For many, not fitting the ideal height can lead to feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, or even social withdrawal. The pressure to measure up can fuel feelings of inadequacy and competition, especially for those who don't fit the ideal. This can impact friendships, romantic relationships, and even career ambitions, as people internalize society's expectations. Media, like the 2024 series Mr. Big Stuff, explores how these biases shape modern masculinity and body image. By bringing these issues to light, such stories encourage us to question the standards we take for granted. Understanding short man syndrome means looking at the societal forces that create these pressures. It's not just about individual insecurities, but about the collective attitudes and cultural messages that shape how we see ourselves and others. The conversation is bigger than any one individual. It's about the world we build together and how we can move toward a society that values people for who they are, not just how tall they stand. So what do we do with all this knowledge? Recognizing height bias is the first step toward change. We need to value people for their character and contributions, not their stature. Challenging our own biases and promoting body positivity can help dismantle harmful stereotypes. Media plays a role by showcasing diverse, multidimensional characters who defy size-based expectations. On a personal level, empathy and self-reflection are key. Understanding that insecurity can drive behavior and responding with compassion. Let's create environments where everyone feels seen and respected, regardless of height. The research on height and behavior can guide us toward healthier, more inclusive communities. Ultimately, the true measure of a person is not their height, but the size